Are we good? Can you see it now? Is it live? So we're good. All right. Good morning, everyone. How are we today? I'm Victor Idona by name, and just a brief introduction about myself. I'm a cybersecurity professional with a couple of certifications in the industry, a certified ethical hacker, certified forensic investigator, a network engineer, a penetration tester, series of certifications in the industry. I'm also the founder of Cybersecurity Challenge Nigeria. We do a lot of hackathons. And part of what we'll be doing in this class, your entire lab setup and all, the tools you will likely gain access to, we will be providing them for you. So I'll be taking this class with my supervisor or my boss by name Dr. Nasir. In the course of the training, you'll get to meet him in person. And of course, he's also very much into the industry and all of that. So we hope you will enjoy the entire training program. And please, anything you do not understand, feel free to ask questions. Take your assignment seriously. Then when it gets to the sessions for the lab, grab as much as you can grab. Then also in the course of the lab, we'll also be doing some hackathons, that is CTF challenges. You'll be exposed to some labs, practice what you can practice. If you have any challenge, feel free at any point, time or the other, to drop a message, and we'll definitely respond. Okay. So while I'm taking the class, as much as possible, feel free to ask questions anytime. Then, of course, this is an introductory class, so everything should be simple and straightforward. Starting the class, we'll be taking everybody, assuming that we all have zero or no knowledge about cybersecurity. So we can all grow together and move together. Are we good? All right, so let's begin. This is cybersecurity class, and I'm quite impressed with the number of persons we have physically present compared to what I've seen in other classes. Some classes, maybe just one person, two persons, and the like. So let's move. Introduction to cybersecurity. As much as possible, I'll make the class to be interactive. So please feel free to always make your contributions. There's no contribution that is out of point. There's none that is stupid or whatever, right? Every contribution is please welcome. Reasons be that if we are knowledgeable in it, we will not be here. We are all here to learn. Personally, I'm also here. I'm very sure there are things I will also learn from you, experiences and all. So, introduction to cybersecurity. What is cybersecurity? We're going to be looking at the key concepts, the importance of cybersecurity to individuals, businesses, and government. Individuals starts from we ourselves, you as a person, right? I always advise or recommend if you're thinking about security, you should start with yourself because you are the individual that makes up a department. The department makes up the organization. So it always starts from the individual. And there's a saying in the industry that the weakest link in cybersecurity or information security is the human. So no matter the level of technologies you've deployed, applications, solutions, the environment you host them, and all of that, if the human manning it is not secure or does not have the right skill set, awareness, and all of that, he can be the one to cause a compromise to your infrastructure. Are we good? So it's just like saying you've purchased the latest mobile phone, something we are very much conversant with, and you've imputed your password. Very fantastic. You know too well to be difficult for even the best hacker in the world to crack that password because it's so very, very secure in terms of having the features of a strong password and all of that. But you, the user, you decided to carefully manage your password. Either you're writing it down or you're using a name that is related to you, your relations, and all of that. It will be easy for someone to break in, right? Without even having to go through trying to decrypt or break or crack the password. So that brings us to the key concepts: the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability. With these three, every information security system you tend to secure have to come under these three. Zida is talking about how confidential it is to you or to authorized persons, or it's going to be looking at integrity. Is it as we expect it to be, or along the line, either on transit or at rest, it has been modified by someone? So that's what integrity talks about. Then we're also going to be looking at availability. Do you have access to it when you're supposed to or when you need to? Let's take, for example, we arrived here this morning and access to this room was denied. Probably it was locked. We are supposed to be here. We are supposed to have access to this place, but somehow we couldn't have access. Can we say we are on point? The answer is no, because we are not having access to it when we are supposed to. So a similar example is when you're supposed to, maybe you subscribe for your internet bandwidth data, right? And somehow, due to network and all of that, you don't have access to data, you can't browse, yet you have an active subscription. So that is availability. When a resource is not available to you as at when you need it, there's a problem, right? For example, those of us connected online, you're supposed to have access to this class, but somehow along the line, you're unable to connect, either due to network glitches and so on. You have simply been denied access, and to that is a flaw. So another thing is the importance of cybersecurity to individuals, businesses, government. When you start from yourself, you're able to look at businesses. You're able to look at the government perspective. Then types of cyber threats, a brief overview. So in the course of the training, this is what we're going to be looking at. I understand the class is pretty much short, but we'll as well do well to cover as much as possible, right? So what are the objectives of this class? The objective we'll be looking at is one, develop a foundational understanding of cybersecurity concepts, the threats, the vulnerabilities, and defense strategies. Ability for us to actually understand the concepts, the threats available, the vulnerabilities, and the defense strategies. puts us ahead. Okay, so we should be able to understand what the concepts are. What are the threats, threat factors? How can we be vulnerable? What I may be vulnerable to as an individual is not what a business is vulnerable to. Is not what the government is vulnerable to. So ability for us to identify our threats, the threat landscape, what are individuals vulnerable to, what are the devices individuals are using, and what those devices are vulnerable to is different from what an organization is using. Take, for example, an individual does not have an individual in a company does not have an individual website. So that individual, he or she might be vulnerable through his personal email, right? But the business, the website is vulnerable. So what we will be looking at will be dependent on who is using or what that particular either device infrastructure is in relation to. Do we understand? So next, we'll go to the beginning, practical knowledge of cybersecurity, the best practices to protect personal devices and information. What are the best practices for you to deploy in securing yourself, protecting yourself, your data? Like I mentioned earlier, always start with yourself. If I'm able to protect myself, it means if everybody here are able to protect their individual selves, department will be safe, right? The department makes up the organization and the organization will be secure. So that will now take us a step further by going to, if I can secure my individual devices, how best can we secure the organization infrastructure? The website is belonging to the organization. So how can we secure the website? How can we secure the servers? How can we secure the communication channels? How can we ensure that there is uninterrupted connectivity? An attacker may decide to launch attack on your communication infrastructure. And with that, whether you like it or yes, there will be unavailability of data or resources as the case may be. And once that happens, everybody's in a mess. A few weeks back, there's this downtime that happened in the AC and a lot of telecoms and all of that are unable to service us properly, right? That's a disconnection on the communication layer, right? So if anything happens to any of this, it's going to affect us. Either we are losing money, we are losing resources, we are losing time, we are losing infrastructure, we are losing reputation. There's a lot of things at stake. And that is why it's also important for us to do what we call risk assessment. As an individual, you should be able to understand how to do a risk assessment. So in the course of the class, I'm going to also talk about that. So next is building awareness of cybersecurity frameworks, regulations, and ethical considerations. You need to know the existing cybersecurity frameworks. Okay? The frameworks, the regulations, and the ethical considerations. A lot of times, you might think I'm doing this thing because I can do it. Or I'm doing this thing because I just want to show to my friends that, yes, I can do it. In reality, that's not supposed to be the case. There are ethical standards to this. Are you following best practice, ethical standards or best practice? If you're not following them, what might be fun to you might be causing harm to the next person, and we would not want that. Same way you wouldn't want that to happen to you. So there are standards, there are frameworks, and there are ethical considerations we all have to understand, right? So next we'll be looking at exploring various cybersecurity career paths and understanding the skills needed for entry-level roles. There are different industries, there are different career paths in cybersecurity. You will agree with me that in our world of today, cybersecurity is like, as they call it, hot cake. Is it? There's a room for everybody. Be it that your background is in cybersecurity or not, there's a room for you. Be it that you have good knowledge of programming or not, there's a room for you. There's compliance, there's audit, there's GRC, name it. So if you're interested in the coding, core coding, pretty awesome, there's room for you. And we'll agree that every business of today, even individuals, have one thing or the other to do on the internet. True or false? A good number of us will have a lot of social media accounts, right? And it's important for us to ensure that the security of those social media accounts is intact. That's at the individual level. Now, moving to the business, almost every business is having something to do on the internet. Either they are marketing, they are selling, they are showcasing themselves, name it, or they are creating a channel of communication between themselves and the general public, right? As little as the kiosk beside your house, currently they are using POS, right? A good number of them, they are using point of sales system for scanning their goods, selling to you, printing you a receipt. And at the end of the day, they have to go through their logs to know the items that has finished and they need to restock, right? So every business in our today's world is gradually moving to the internet, right? Next, we'll be looking at defining key cybersecurity terms and principles. Ability for us to get ourselves familiarized with the key cybersecurity concepts is important. So we will also be looking at key cybersecurity terms, the principles, e.g. the malware, the phishing, encryption, threats, vulnerabilities. You'll need to understand the differences between a threat, a vulnerability, an attack, an attacker, attack vector. There are a lot of terms in the industry. So it's also important for us to get familiarized with all of them, right? Any questions so far? Please ask because I'll ask mine. All right. So next, yes, sir, please.
So, I don't know for the cybersecurity we're talking about now. When people provide the physical gadgets that provide like people they have in the cyberspace, is it part of you have to hand for that also?
That is under infrastructure.
Okay.
They are hardware components of cybersecurity. And if you are considering that, there is also what we call physical security. Cybersecurity does not entail just the digital environment alone. It includes the computer devices. We're going to go into the terms. We're going to define it, okay? So both the hardware and the software, they are all under the term cybersecurity because you need to ensure the security of all of them. We would even agree, part of what we're also going to be looking at is the physical security. Let's take, for example, we have our systems, we have our internet connectivity devices, right? A class is ongoing here. Access to this door need to also be considered. It's just like you're having your laptop. If you decide to say, okay, for the fact that I've passworded my laptop, let me go and leave it outside there. Go home and come back. Are you secure? The physical security of that device, be it a computer, a mobile phone, a tablet, a physical server, whatever the hardware may be, it's also what? Important. So moving further, for example, our internet connecting device is one satellite dish outside. Assuming we are using Starlink, right? And we place the dish outside and somehow, somewhere, we are here enjoying the service, right? Someone outside decided to look at it and be like, wow, this metal is good though. I can go and swap it for 2 plastic rubber, right? And the person grabs it and move away with it. It will cause disruption to everything you think you might be doing here. So security of these physical gadgets is also what? Important. Regulating access to this infrastructure is also what? Important. Is that clear, sir? All right. So moving forward, we'll be looking at implementing, identifying and explaining different types of cyber attacks and their potential impact. There are different types of cyber attacks. Then you need to identify their potential impact. Then you take a step further to look at their countermeasures. For example, identity theft. If someone steals your identity, what is the prospective impact? What's the likely, or what can the impact be? Yes, impersonation. Any other? Sir? Damage reputation. Yes. Threat to personal life. Yes. Fraud. Someone can use your someone that has stolen your identity can reach out to your contacts, your family members. Hey guys, I'm stranded somewhere. I need XYZ amount right now. Can you assist? And they begin sending. So because of identity theft, this is the potential impact of it. So the next step you now have to understand. First, we have identified the threat, right? Next, we've identified the potential impact. Next, we now look at the countermeasures. How can we avoid or mitigate such kind of attack from happening? So those are part of the things we'll be looking at, right? Next is implementing basic measures to secure our personal devices and online accounts. we'll all agree we have one account or the other online. True or false? Email accounts, social media accounts, social media, there's a bunch of them now. In fact, it's like all social media platforms are dragging for your attention. With the advent of AI, all social media platforms, they are trying their best to implement or embed AI into their environment. We all agree our WhatsApp now have AI embedded, making life a lot easier, right? I just sent myself this morning. Sometimes back, everybody, we all agree that Google is the father of the day, right? Nothing can happen to Google. At the moment, they are still strong, yeah, but there's a threat somewhere, true or false. In the last couple of months, the search results or search visits to Google has drastically is dropping. That of AI is shooting up. And you all agree with me. Right now, if you want to search for anything, instead of going to Google, you rather quickly visit your AI. Right? So the trend is changing. The trend is changing. And as individuals, it's also important for every one of us to ensure that around the clock, we also keep updating ourselves. That is one of the reasons why we are here for this class. You need to know the latest trends in the industry, the evolving technologies. How can you rely on them to make your work efficient, easier, and more productive with high level of accuracy, right? So by the end of this course, all participants will be able to recognize signs of a potential cyber attack and understand basic incident response steps. You should be able to understand or recognize a sign of a cyber attack. For example, how many of us have received a call stating that, hello, are you aware of the meeting we're having by 7 p.m.? We want to create a customized link for you so that once you receive your code now, we'll just create. How many of us have received that? We're conversant with it, right? And a good number of persons are falling prey to it, right? So part of what will be taken away from this class is ability for us to understand and recognize the signs of a potential cyber attack. So we should also be able to identify attacks that are targeting us as individuals, attacks targeting our physical infrastructure, attacks targeting our department, our organization, or even our government, right? Okay, so next is describing the role of cybersecurity frameworks and regulations. We should be able, at the end of this class, to describe the role of cybersecurity frameworks and the regulations, which is very, very much important for us. So list several entry-level cybersecurity job roles and skills required. Because we'll be looking at the various cybersecurity job roles, especially the entry level for us beginners. And what skills do you need to be able to gain access into the entry-level cybersecurity roles available, right? You should even be able to understand the ones meant for government, the ones meant for private individuals in terms of companies, even the ones you can render to fellow individuals, right? So, introduction. The importance of cybersecurity in our digital age cannot be overemphasized. With all we've talked about so far, we'll all agree that yes, cybersecurity is important in our today's world. Because every one of us, in fact, we can agree that 50% of our time we are spending it on the internet. Either you're viewing statuses, you're responding to messages, you're responding to emails, you're making a research online, and all of that. In fact, gradually a huge chunk of our day-to-day productive activities are now relying heavily on the internet. Imagine a day without internet. What will happen? Frustration, catastrophe. Just a day without the internet. It's going to be disastrous. So the trend is changing. Technology providers are also deploying and innovating more technologies. In times past, you can only do your Microsoft Word, Excel, and PowerPoint right on your PC, right? Today, we don't want restriction any longer. We want to do things on the go. You're responding to messages on the go. You're editing, you're creating, you're exporting, you're sending, everything happening on the go. You're having access to whatever document you've created on the go. To that, there are cloud environment for processing, creating, editing, modifying, name it, all of this. A couple of years back, it has been just, if you want to create anything graphics related, you must reach out to your graphic designer or you install your application, right? In our today's world, with your mobile phone on the go, you're processing huge volume of data and information, graphics, high memory level consuming processes, but they are actually not happening on your device, right? They are happening on a third-party device. So these are the benefits of cybersecurity, and that is why the importance of this cannot be overemphasized. So with the right knowledge and tools, we can reduce the risk becoming a victim of cybercrime and safeguarding our personal and professional information. We all agree that with the numerous innovations in cybersecurity and the deep high level of reliance on cybersecurity, threats also exist, true or false. Years back, everybody traveling on the road, right? You're traveling with your cash in your bag or in your pocket, and robbery rate on the road was high. Why? They know if they intercept 2, 3 vehicles in one night, they can go and relax for like a couple of weeks, months, as the case may be. But with the advent of technology, banking, and cashless policies and all of that, even if you hijack a vehicle, no matter how big it is, you may not realize up to 100K cash, right? Sir? Yeah, so it now moved from that to POS. But of course, trust our traders and those in the marketing space, right? In the market space. And what they do again is a good number of them don't even use POS, they don't even use credit card. They rather prefer to manually get into a bank, do their transactions as the case may be, and on and on and on. Some of them would just rather go to an ATM and do cardless transactions. So innovations are happening, more persons are relying on technology, and that is why we have to now look at the right knowledge and tools we can use to reduce the risk of becoming a victim, right? So, what is cybersecurity and what does it involve? To put simply, cybersecurity is the practice of protecting computer systems and networks from digital attacks. I hope we answered your question now, sir. The systems, the networks from digital attacks. You can go as far as adding the infrastructure, the people, because people are also part of what you are protecting. The infrastructure, the people, the systems, the computers, the gadgets from digital attacks. It involves using a combination of technologies, processes, and practices to prevent, detect, and respond to cyber attacks. So your ability to put up all of these skill sets together will help in doing what? Protecting your digital space. Any questions so far? Military or embassies. Okay, yes, you can. There's no industry that is exempted from cybersecurity. There's what we call drone hacking, right? The military deploy a lot of drones, true or false? The military deploy a lot of covert communication channels, true or false? So there is a need to ensure the security of these environments. So it's important for these job roles to be available in those areas. If you mention embassy, in fact, Cybersecurity is one of their highest priority. Why? People are moving every day, and a good chunk of their data, their verifiable data, is only visible through using digital means, scanning bags, scanning individuals, all manner, right? So yes, you can find that. Any other question, please? Yes, please.
Something happened to us 2 days ago,
Okay.
and we found that I wasn't really convinced to go into it, which is the causes change that does happen, and that's something that happens in the SDB. Okay. I want to ask, is causes change a cyber attack?
Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
Is it a cyber attack? First of all, remember we talked about identifying potential attacks. So when you mention Ponzi scheme, what's the brain behind a Ponzi scheme? Can you explain?
To exploit.
Exploit. I like that word. You want to exploit others. So exploitation, is it good or bad? Okay. All right. Please, you just use this to take a picture. Thank you. All right. So some persons are asking questions online, so we'll attend to the questions shortly. So you mentioned, okay, yes, exploitation, is it good or bad? It's bad. So can we say it's a crime? Is it a crime? Big crime. Then is it a cyber crime? Why? Awesome. Because you're using digital devices, you're using internet to commit the crime. So it's a cyber crime too. So some of the questions from our online environment, let's go through it. Okay, someone is asking what is drone hacking. We'll get to that. Muhammad is asking what is drone hacking. Okay, good number of the questions are just does cybersecurity and AI correlate, and how? Yes, can we answer that? Does cybersecurity correlate with AI, and how? What is AI? So does cybersecurity correlate with AI? Good. Next question. Hacking drone. What is the difference between cybersecurity and cyberspace? Cybersecurity is what? What is cyberspace? Okay, now cyberspace, internet in general. What comprises of your cyberspace? One thing we need to understand, cyberspace is not a specific location. Let's put it as an imaginary environment. For the fact that devices can communicate with themselves remotely, that space is the cyberspace. Communication is happening, devices are communicating, data is being moved from point A to point B, right? That can be termed cyberspace with internet connection, right? Now, cybersecurity entails securing everything that is within these connected devices, connected environment, from the hardware to the applications running on the hardware to the services running on the applications to the data being transmitted. Do we understand? So everything within this cyberspace that make up the cyberspace, that is what cybersecurity entails. Is that clear? So let's look out for another question. Okay, with regards to the Ponzi scheme, someone said it's good depending on why and who you are exploiting. Is that correct? Is that correct? even even in layman's language, we cannot accept such a definition or such a reason. That is good depending on who depending on why and who you are exploiting. That's not correct. So I'll just take two more questions from the online and we'll proceed. Okay, someone said why you were mentioning the objectives and skills to gain at the end of the course, you didn't mention hacking. Please, is hacking not going to be part of the course? All right, so to answer the question, hacking is not going to be in-depth part of the course, right? Reasons be by standards, by ethical standards, before you are exposed to some level of hacking, the tools behind it, the technology, the processes, and all of it, you need to sign a document. You need to sign a document. Is that fine? But because of the global nature of what we are doing, we're also trying to ensure that we are keeping to standards. So we can't just release some information just like that with us. So there is a need for you to sign some certain level of document to indemnify the organizers and all of that. Usually the document is not something difficult. It's just a document stating that whatever skill, knowledge you will be acquiring from that particular training or that tool will be used at your own risk. So you're going to utilize it, and whatever be the outcome, you're taking full responsibility for it. So take, for example, I grant you access to a particular tool, teach you how to use it and all of that. The next thing you go about, you're using that tool. Let's say the tool is for web applications. You go about and every website you come across, you're just firing the website with the tools. In the name of, yes, to you it is test running. Yeah, just to see whether it's working, just to see whether I can do it, just to tell my friends that, man, I learned this tool today. Oh God, that is the problem. everything you're doing in cybersecurity, you must obtain authorization. It is authorization that makes it ethical. The moment you do it without authorization, it is unethical. And by that, you have simply committed a crime. Is that fine? By standard, even if my website is not secure or my device is open, that does not grant you the right to go and pick up the device and start snapping my screen or sending images from it or attempting to break into my site. Do we understand? Why? You're doing it without authorization. And it's important for every one of us to understand that whatever you do, you must obtain authorization from the persons involved. The only persons that can be waived for are if you are, let's say you are a law enforcement agency. Those form of Even with the law enforcement agency, there are some scenarios, there are some cases that they also have to do what? Seek authorization. So if they are not getting the required authorization, then they cannot declare, let's say, a state of emergency, declare someone something wanted, and they can then use that, meaning they have attempted going the legal way, following the provided laws and all of that, but it's not working. So you're going with the last option. So with that, they can decide to break into and do what and do what not, right? So it's important for us to do that. So last questions before we go. Okay, so if I can't find any reasonable one. Okay, what is drone hacking? Okay, I've seen one question from Adam. I'll look at it. So what is drone hacking? A lot of times with the technologies we have today, drones are becoming very, very powerful weapons. Same time, they are also effective, useful tools. In our today's world, drones are used to deliver food, deliver medics, deliver, you know, sir? Yes, weapons. Good. That's why I said lucrative weapon, lucrative tool for positive and for, you know. So drone hacking entails how can you intercept? How can you monitor? How can you taking control? That is the part of intercepting. How can you take over? Yeah. So, but again, that is a different aspect entirely for with different technologies and all of that. So the question I have here is: imagine you have been the victim of a cyber attack. What, please, we will answer this question ourselves, right? Imagine you've been a victim of a cyber attack. What information, personal or work related, would you be most afraid to lose? How would this incident affect you? This is the last question I'll take from the online participants. Imagine you have been the victim of a cyber attack. What information, personal or work related, would you be most afraid to lose? Then how would this incident affect you? Can anybody attempt? Yes, sir.
I would say I would have read to go that's my cyber activity. Passport, so I've had one experience when somebody had and with the little knowledge I was able to change the phone number. I found out that he used another person's phone number to do it. And then it was sending messages to foreigners, like sending messages to people.
Yes.
So now I quickly went to one police post to report the incident. Because if you have to come back to me, they will come back to me because I have to take the phone number. And then I now told them this is what this person has not gotten any reply. But they have sent over 1,000 messages, different companies. So I would have afraid of losing because once those things happen, your data, personal data, sometimes you have less information about. So we are going to lose this. Like,
Okay, awesome. Any other one?
So like Alex would say the first important information is to protect. So email address and credit card details, similar to what you said, last week, someone randomly from abroad sent me a website, sent me the password and the details, every information. And transferred $10,000 to someone. So I logged into that account and saw about $100,000. Now, looking, I was sharing with my friends that this person had the language just sent to me. His name was in Japanese or Korean. I was looking like thousands of dollars in this account. I tried to share with my friends and it's very important. They told me that this is a scam, that they are from the back end, they are monitoring and seeing everything now. So there's a state that said I should input my wallet or my information that one will transfer. So, and I thought why that I tried to input this information and the password, then when they're back, they'll have to your information. And before you know it's your wife, like quickly identify that this is a cyber threat. I know what to do.
Okay.
Another
Awesome.
thing that we might be aiding a client to come back to you at the end of the day because we don't have access to that company apply to your work. They will also take the money from the wallet and then when the place we come to this and you transfer money from this account to your own wallet. Then by the time because they are seeing what you're doing, they will now draw the money from the once it comes to your wallet, you are the
Do you understand? So, in other words, you may not directly be the target, but you might be a zombie. Call it so. You are only aiding a syndicate crime. Yes, any other one? Okay, so first of all, from the question, it's important for us to identify what kind of cyber crime are we talking about. There are different cyber crimes, true or false. Some is bullying. So with the question, I want to touch a wide area with relation to what we're doing, right? So some is bullying, some is identity theft, some is data theft, some is file modification, alteration. I can send you a malware. The goal of the malware is to corrupt all the files on your PC. I don't want any of your data, but just get them corrupted. Do we understand? So in such a case, in such kind of an attack, if you don't have a backup, there's a problem. Okay, so we need to understand what kind of cyber attack are we facing. That is one. Then two, the question moved further to say, what information, personal or work related, would you be most afraid of losing? Then how would the incident affect you? Now that brings us to, as much as possible, every time, try and do what we call self-risk assessment. Self-risk assessment. Personally, I always do self-risk assessment. For example, I'm moving with my mobile phone, right? You can sit down and do your self-risk assessment. It's not part of this class. I would have taken you through that, right? If you're doing a self-risk assessment, I'll ask myself, if this phone gets missing right now, what is the most important usefulness of this phone to me? Or what is the most important information sitting on this phone that I can't afford to lose? Do we understand? Every one of us here, our priorities are different. Do we agree? Some persons, it is the pictures of the memories, the videos they have taken with the phone that is most important to them. Do we agree? A good number of persons, it is the documents they've been using the phone to process, to type, to create that is most important to them, right? To others, it is the accounts they've logged into on this phone. Some have done payment subscription on this phone such that if they lose the phone, it means they're going to pay some good amount of money for them again. Some is the bank apps tied to this. And we have some persons beyond the bank app, they also have a notepad somewhere containing their transaction details, emails, password, name it. So anybody getting access to this phone may not even be interested in their gallery, in their pictures, in their videos, but might be interested in those key information they can use to either move money, send confidential documents, do X, Y, Z, and even send email, unauthorized emails on the recipient, on the target or the victim's behalf. Do we agree? What if I send an email to your boss that, hello, with the situation of things in the country, I want to drop my resignation letter. Do we agree? You're dropping a resignation. Someone is dropping a resignation letter on your behalf. The company receives it, processes it. How can you defend that? Yes, you were not the one that sent that mail. Maybe before you even realize it, the next day when you're resuming to work, you'll be like, hello, you've come to pack your physical belongings, or what specifically are you here for? So when you do your self-risk assessment, you'll be able to identify in order of highest priority what is most important. Then the next question will be, I've done my risk assessment. I've realized that to me, what's most important is my videos or my pictures or my document or even the conversations I've exchanged with people on WhatsApp, via email, via any platform. You've identified it. Then the next question is, how can I back it up? Just in case, if I lose this phone, what means can I use to retrieve my data? One, it's important to retrieve your data. It's also important to protect and ensure that that data does not cross. Remember, we mentioned CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. To ensure that that document remains confidential to just you. Do we agree? Because if you lose your data, you've retrieved and it's no longer confidential. Maybe it has gotten to the public. There's a problem still, right? There's a problem. What if the integrity changed? There's still a problem. It has been altered. It has been modified. There is still what? A problem. So what if it's availability? You no longer ever have access to it at all. Or maybe at the time you are retrieving the phone, the data has been deleted. Wahal. So it's important to put into consideration all of this fact. So with that, you'll be able to know what you're safeguarding, what you're going to be backing up, what you're going to provide a remote means to. Take, for example, personally, I don't save contacts on my phone. I save directly to my cloud environment. So if I misplace this phone, I don't have a problem with the device. I simply log into my next device, log into my account on my next device, and I retrieve all of those info. Do we agree? For the person that what's most important to him or her is, let's say, the what? The SIM card. Today, SIM card, in our world of today, SIM card has, whether your SIM is working, you can walk into any retail telecom provider's outlet and you request for a new SIM card and everything will be migrated seamlessly, right? In fact, there are digital SIM cards now. Do we agree? I have about 2 digital SIM cards on this phone. So physical SIM, not there. So ability for you to do this self-risk assessment, you'll be able to also understand what is important and what is not important. What is valuable, what are the things I can do with and do without. Do you understand? So you'll be able to provide a means, an alternative means, a plan B, what we call DRP, a disaster recovery plan, such that if this phone gets missing, what is the first line of action? I'll give you an example. If my phone gets missing, first line of action will be, let's say, retrieve my WhatsApp account from the phone first to a new device. Are we together? The process of retrieving, first my WhatsApp has been backing up and I'm retrieving it, installing it on a new device. I will simply start what? Restoring the backup contact. So automatically this person no longer have access to the WhatsApp, right? Whoever that is on the phone, true or false? Next is maybe emails. I'll simply change my password, log in with a new phone. Automatically, I will sign out every other device. Maybe it's my videos. Are we aware that you can install applications and uninstall applications remotely without having access to your device? Do we agree? That is outside the scope of this class. But but one house, please. Are we enjoying the class? Thank you. So on the other hand, but like I was saying, if I have a particular application here, I can simply, maybe the phone has gone, I can simply get to my PC. I will uninstall the app from here. And the moment the app is out, all functionalities disabled. True or false? The person will never exist that will never be aware that that app was even existing on the phone.
But the phone will need to be online.
Whether it will need to be online.
Yes.
Now, for you to even use some of the applications, you need to be online. True or false? That is why in forensics, when an evidence is retrieved, we isolate it. But this is not a forensic class, so let's not delve into it. That's a different part entirely. But we understand, right? So with your self-risk assessment, you'll be able to identify. And for the person that asks that question, you'll be able to, on your own, know the things you will likely lose if an attack happens to you, true or false. The kind of attack, the possible effect, the kind of data you will lose. So take, for example, I've been working for been using my phone for like a year and I misplaced it and the backup was updated till just only 1 month back. If I lose the phone, I will directly, without anybody telling me, I will know that it's just 1 month data that I've not backed up, I will lose, true or false. So I believe I've been able to answer that question. So we have just about 13 minutes left. In that 13 minutes, let's answer every other question. Next time, we'll continue from here. Questions, please.
You said that the objective is to build awareness of cybersecurity, gain practical knowledge of cybersecurity, personal devices. So, are we going to learn to protect businesses?
We will. Remember, part of what we listed individuals, businesses, and government. And so far, we have touched a lot more on individuals, personal. True or false? That is the starting point. So in another session, we'll be talking about the businesses. We'll also move as far as the government. There are solutions you need to recommend to your government to ensure that they also are secure, right? Yes, please. Okay, yes. In everything we'll be doing, there are tools for identification, monitoring, mitigation. But being that we are looking at the foundation level, the in-depth level of how deep we go into these tools we cannot really ascertain for now, but definitely we're going to avail you some tools to start with, at least at the foundation stage. Remember, it's all majorly in preparing you for entry-level cybersecurity roles. Yes, please. Yes.
Knowledge really enough for us to attend this application.
Here's the pictures taken. Thank you. Now, when you talk about certifications, there are different certifications in cybersecurity, right? What we are doing here is foundation into all of these rules. Do we agree? We are touching networking, we're touching a bit of forensics, we're touching ethical hacking, we are touching pen testing and all of that. So in reality, we cannot 100% ascertain that, yes, this will give you with this, because we are looking at more of general cybersecurity. And if you talk of certifications, you are now talking of specialization. Do we agree? So for you to take any specialization in cybersecurity, it's also important for you to take the extra step to read in depth the materials available for that certification, for that specialization. Do we understand? And also practice the tools that are in that line.
Let me know. If you're looking for advice, you have an organization, and somebody who have the knowledge you have, that's there. It's things that you can create for that person.
Create. When you say
What I mean by create, no, that is there a place for person who have all the knowledge person who have gone through this class, have understanding of all the then is there a career? Not to say, as a number, because it might be on the personal assessment to assess the person with this level of knowledge, you can be able to do this.
there are a lot of opportunities in businesses with the skills you're going to gather from here. In fact, with all we've talked about so far, right? You will agree with me that if you walk into an organization and you tell them that you can help them deliver cybersecurity awareness on how their staff can safeguard themselves, and you discuss all of the things we've discussed today, they will listen to you, true or false. So we can agree that day one alone, we're already prepared for entry level, true or false. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Yes, please. So, and besides, there are more we are going to be learning. So there's a lot of opportunities in various job roles or various industries that we'll have access to. Yes, please. When you say entry level cannot be on same ground with professionals. Do we agree? So let's clear that first. You cannot be entry level and also be a professional. So let's face entry level and let's face professionals separately. So which are we facing first, entry level or professionals?
This all was in problem of things like making decisions which part of the cybersecurity are going to this job.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, not really grouping per se, right? The grouping comes with some level of specialization. So you already want to make a decision on, with the knowledge I've acquired so far throughout the period of this awesome program, this is the area I want to specialize in, or I find this area more interesting to me. For example, there are persons that have more interest in network security, some is cloud environment, some is ethical hacking, pen testing, forensics, and all of that. So you now decide to go deeper by acquiring the required certifications in that. Do you understand? So challenges for entry level individuals, beginners, not professionals. What are the challenges? Let someone assist us. We have just about 6 minutes. I'll give you some, but I want to hear from you. Anybody? Yes, sir. Okay, explain.
There are people who are willing or who are trying to find a key point so that they will have access to share to theory. But because they lack access, they is problem because of lack of resources, so them lack of contact or connection with the access and so on and so forth. It tends to not
not have.
Do we agree?
It doesn't understand the questions.
Okay.
What I meant wasn't for beginners. I was talking about somebody who already has like roots industry as an entry level.
Okay.
Not just like a new.
Okay.
Not like somebody who is deciding
As an entry level. Okay. Okay. Do you understand his questions? Your response is for more of beginners who are just still trying to navigate through. So now, for persons who already have access to those materials, they've read, they've studied, they have some knowledge, what are their challenges? Yes.
How we the question, and I think our main challenge was getting into place because of our background. We have no background in that time. So getting a place, like getting a place, internship was very difficult for us. So I think that's like the major problem.
Okay. Okay, that is why we also recommend, for example, you're taking this training, right? At the end of the program, you're going to be issued a certificate. That is a background for you, right? So that is why it's important, as much as possible, get certificates, right? With the right certificates, you can gain access to any job role. I understand that aspect. So a lot of beginners, entry-level persons in the industry, right? They face the challenge of getting themselves engaged. Is a challenge. Then again, in our environment, in our Nigerian space, you should also be aware that that space is not readily available, right? Because you can get to an organization, one guy is doing the job role of a good number of persons. Then again, even the entry level, one mistake a lot of persons do, they don't like to volunteer. If you volunteer, you acquire experience that the other person willing to pay is looking for. True or false? You acquire the required skill set. You acquire the how to manage challenges. But a good number of persons, because they've taken one course online, either on I don't want to mention anybody's name, right? Because they've taken one course online and they have their digital printed certificate. They will tell you, I'm a cybersecurity professional. I want to apply for the role of network analyst. Have you analyzed anything before? Do you understand? Yes, sir.
Considering that we learn a lot during when we are practicing intentional organization.
Yes.
But at least we need something to translate.
Yes.
Like the front of the presentation, yeah, we can give us something.
Yes.
Is this not going to give us such? Right. Something to go and show to the organization that and give us if they say, okay, prove that you can give us okay, it's a challenge.
Now, that is why we are going to be issuing you a certificate, right? The certificate will go as far as, remember, I mentioned that we will try as much as possible. Please, one house, please, one house. Remember, I said as much as possible, we'll try and make the class interactive and practical. We're going to give you labs, right? So, by a way of extension, a program like this is also in a way be able to recommend you for internship opportunities. Do we agree? But again, I know why I'm saying these things. I engage with them every now and then. I have a lot of persons coming to us for internship. Now, a good number of persons, you that want to learn, let me be blunt, you that want to learn, you also want to be paid. I should train you and pay you, and you have no experience. The money to pay you originates from. Okay, wait. All right, wait. Let's one house. Officially, we've rounded up the class for today, so we can log off and let's talk to ourselves one-on-one if you're interested. Okay. So we've heard there's another class right away. So next time, yes, come early so that